We'll start with verse 7. This is where we left off when we do Luke, one of the different things we do on Sunday, and then we're going to move forward. When he noticed how the guests picked the place of honor at the table, he told them this parable. When somebody invites you to a wedding feast, don't take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited also. And if so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this man your seat. Then, being humiliated, you'll have to take the least important place. When you're invited, though, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he'll say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you'll be honored in the presence of all your fellow guests. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but he who humbles himself will be exalted. And there, the Lord, speaking in terms of a dinner engagement, is sharing one of the most profound laws of the universe with God's hand on it, that those who lift themselves up ultimately will be pressed down, and those who humble themselves in God will be lifted up. Now, this is where we are. Now let's move forward. Then Yeshua, Jesus, said to his host, when you give a luncheon or dinner, don't invite just your friends, your banquet, your brothers to the banquet, or relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they might invite you back, and so you'll be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you'll be blessed. Although they can't repay you, you'll be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. When you give a banquet, or in our terms, luncheon, dinner, have a get-together, don't just invite your friends. Or don't invite your friends, says here. And your brothers and your sisters, your relatives, your rich neighbors, because they might bless you back. Some translations here say dinner, others say lunch or banquet. The word is ariston, means the best meal of the day. Sometimes it was an early meal, could be around breakfast time, but it's the best, when you have the best meal of the day. Don't invite your friend, Greek, philos, friends, people you like, from philos, people you're fond of, or your brethren, adelphos, like in Philadelphia, your kinsmen, sun genes, relatives, meaning they were born of the same birth as you, your flesh and blood, nor the rich, in the Greek, the phasaos, the abundant in your life. They might invite you back. When you give a luncheon or dinner or get-together or party, invite the poor, in Greek, Dokaz, the beggars, the paupers, meaning total and public poverty, the anapareos, or anapares, the crippled, intensely crippled means in Greek. The cholas, the lame, meaning they're limping. And the blind, tuflos, the blind. And you will be blessed. Although they can't repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. You will be recompensed in the resurrection. Messiah is dealing today with two things concerning human nature. The tendency, number one, to do something to get something back. And number two, the tendency to throw parties. You put it together, this is what you get. Now, when we throw a party, we like to invite friends and people. You want to invite people you like, or you find enjoyable, or entertaining, or attractive, or a high status, or something. When I was a kid, I had a birthday party. I remember I invited friends, but one person I didn't invite. It's a kid named David down the block. And he was real upset. We got a call that he was crying, and so we quickly got an invitation. He came. I felt really guilty about it. But that's human nature. You know, Martha Stewart gives party advice. This is Messiah's party advice. Not about how you decorate it, but it's about whom to serve. The Bible is so cool, it even gives you the advice on how to entertain. To be holy in everything. In entertaining, yes, in everything you do. We often keep these two worlds separate, but everything we do, even having a party, must also be holy. Messiah said the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. His disciples, we are his disciples. We are here not to be served, but to serve. To bless in all you do, even in entertaining. Messiah went to parties. He wasn't a monk. He could have been, but he didn't. He came all the way down here so he could be with us. He did go to parties. He was there to bless, to minister. Everything was holy about what he did. Messiah comes to the house of Matthew, and there's all these looked down upon outcasts, sinful people that the people look down on, and he's with them, saying, how come you're with them? You're a friend of sinners. He said, that's right. I came here not to save those who don't need salvation. I came here to save the sick. But that means everybody. But he's telling you, yes, I am a friend of sinners. He comes to the woman at the well, a sinner, outcast, the woman who weeps at his feet. He liked going out to the people whom the world did not like. So saying, even in your parties, you are to be a blessing. You are to be doing something that's blessing. And whatever you do, your joy, even your parties, your joy is to be linked to blessing. You're to be having joy in blessing people. Make that your joy. The righteous want to bless. It's their joy. The way of the banquet, this speaks here of a banquet for people, banquet for beggars. Salvation is a banquet for those who don't deserve the banquet. It's a banquet of its abundance. It's blessing. It's a feast for people who don't deserve to be there, like us. So therefore, we have to have a spirit of abundance. We've been blessed greatly, so we should want to bless greatly. If you've been given a banquet in Messiah, you should want to give a banquet to the world, to people who need. The way of the world is different. New York City, when they used to have people, I don't know if they still do, when I'd come down there, you'd come off and they'd be people who would wipe your windshield. They would come there, wipe it off. I mean, you didn't ask for it. You were just stuck in the traffic. They'd come and they'd wipe it off. And usually the water they used was dirtier than anything you had. And when they were finished, you better pay them. It was a nice mugging. It was and they weren't doing it to bless you. They were doing it to force you to give something back. And that is human nature. Human nature is to do good to get back. There's in the mall, in this mall, and actually it happens here in a mall nearby too. There's a lot of shops and places that there's like an area where they have all different food stands. And one place they just hold out samples of chicken, barbecued chicken to take, to taste it. They'll say, come, try it. You try it, it's for free. You try it, but it's kind of like Eve and the apple, or we don't know it's an apple, but and you bite that chicken, it's over. Because it doesn't matter if you like it or not. The moment you bite it, you become indebted to them. And you feel guilt, and you can't walk away. You have to then have the meal. Okay, because you can't, then you feel guilty. So just to get rid of your guilt, you buy the meal. And that's exactly what the plan is. That's exactly what they do. Even though they were giving, they weren't really giving. They were trying to get. So people, in the same way, are often nice to other people to get something. People are nice to impress or nice to fit in. That's to get something. People are even nice to God to get something. But none of that is pure. If you're only nice to get something, that's your only reason, then you're using goodness for selfish ends. That means it's not really good. It means it's an illusion, it's a false goodness. Even if you're good to get to heaven, that's false. Because you're doing good only to get something back, so it's not really good. It's selfish. So that's why works don't work. We are to work, but not to get back, not for the reason I'm only doing good. I'm doing good for a different reason. If you're holy only to get into heaven, then you're not holy. Then you're just selfish. What difference is that from someone who pays to get something? Messiah said, if you're good to those who are good to you, how are you any better than criminals? How are you better than mobsters? They're good to people who are good to them too. They do the same thing. They're nice to those who are nice to them. It's an equal exchange. It's a trade. So what does that do? What credit is that? It's a circle. Nothing's there. The books are balanced. And that doesn't leave anything here. But the Bible said, Messiah said, here's what you show your difference. Love those who don't love you. Love those who hate you. Pray for those who are against you. Bless those who curse you, that you may be children of the Most High. How does it work? Saying you love the person who gave you no reason to love them. You love those who don't love you, that you may be children of God. How? Because when you do that, the books are not balanced. When you do that, it doesn't match up. It's not, hey, tit for tat, you did this, I did it. It doesn't work that way. In the kingdom, it's not adding up, and that's good. Because when it's not balanced, it means that there's another factor coming in. It means there's supernatural things coming into that checkbook. You understand? You pay for something, they give it back to you. That's nothing. There's nothing happening there. It's all a circle. But when you bless somebody and they didn't give anything back and you didn't care, that means you're getting something supernaturally. So you don't want, listen, in life we want everything to be balanced. We want it to be fair. I did this, so you give me this. I did this, and they never thanked me. So why'd you do it? So they thank you? I did this. You get upset when things are not fair. We get upset when we did more than we got back. And yet God's saying just the opposite. He's saying, I don't want you to have a balanced checkbook. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean a balanced book in life. I want it to be imbalanced. I want you to give more in this world than you get. I want you to give without any thought of what they bless you back with. Then it's not balanced. Then you're getting it from heaven. Then there's a supernatural thing going on. You love those who love you. What's that? You're just reflecting back. Nothing new is in that situation. He's saying, do not have a balanced account. It shouldn't be complete, because if you do, he says, if they pay you back, if they bless you back, you got your reward. So be happy, because that's all you're getting. If they bless you back, you've got it. It matched. There's nothing else happening. But if they don't, you've got something coming up. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people take this wrong. And sometimes, they say, well, somebody blesses me back, or someone thanks me, don't thank me, then I'll lose my blessing. No, it's if you did it for that reason. If you're doing it for that reason, then I did it to get this back, then it's nothing. But if you bless to get nothing back, then it's unbalanced, it's going to heaven. That's when you're going to get blessed by God. Now I use this in another message for a different principle. I'm going to use this for now a different principle there. This is how most people live. This is how most even believers live. And that is simply, you bless me, I bless you back. You shine the light, I bless you back. You treat me well, I treat you back. You come against me, I'll be against you. My parents messed me up, did this to me, so I'm going to be messed up. I'm going to reflect whatever's around me. That's how most people live. They reflect. Even when you say, I'm blessed because things are going good in my life, all you're doing is reflecting what's around you. That is a mirror. You're not changing anything. All you're doing is that, and it works in the reverse. When you do good, you say, well, I'll do good, but only if you give me the same thing back. You're still reflecting. It's kind of your pre-reflecting. I'll do this, and if you don't bless me back, I'm going to turn. I'm not going to be happy anymore. There are people who bless people, and then when they don't get something back, they become bitter. So what was it all about? It was just about an exchange. It wasn't about goodness. All that's doing is a loop. When you reflect, you are no better than what you reflect. If all you're doing is you're going to be happy when things are good around you, you're no better than the world. You're no better. If you hate your enemies, you're no better than your enemies. If you love your enemies, you're better. Then you've got something there, And that's ultimately. And when the other thing about the mirror is whatever comes into that mirror. If a ugly face comes in, you're going to be ugly. If ugliness comes to that mirror, if bitterness comes to that mirror, you're going to be bitter. You understand? You'll never be any better. If the situation is tough, you'll never be better than your circumstance. If you're only going to rejoice when things are good, you're a mirror. All you're doing is reflecting. Your joy is only reflecting. And that's the problem with a mirror, that it does nothing. It adds nothing to the world. But Messiah didn't call you to be a mirror. He called you, new prop. He called you, not much, but it's there. He called you to be a light. He called you to shine. What's the difference between a mirror and a light? What's going on there? No. Show me your registration, Jerry. He called you to be a light. What's the difference between a light and a mirror? A mirror does not shine it cannot do anything more than what's around it. A light, it doesn't matter what's around it. A light doesn't conform. A mirror conforms. A light doesn't conform. A light transforms. A mirror is totally affected by everything around it. A light is not affected. It affects. It acts upon. It's independent. It shines unconditionally no matter what's going on. Light or dark, it shines. Messiah is not the mirror of the world. Messiah is the light of the world. And that means he is not affected by the world. He affects the world. He is not conformed to the world. He transforms the world. That's why he transformed the whole age. That's why we still have our year system by him. No life has so transformed this world because he's a light. He is the light. The Or HaOlam. Not a mirror, but a light. And so he called you as his disciple to be not a mirror, but a light. A light is radiant, is radiant. You see, if you're really good in God, because of his goodness, you are going to give off radiance. You are going to have an unbalanced account. You're going to bless people more than they bless you, and you're going to be blessed by doing that. Because you know your blessing doesn't come from them, it comes from God. And if they bless you back, praise God. But that's not why you do it. You know, that the other way, you love those who love you, you're reflecting. That's not any better. But when you love those who are not, you are shining. That's the difference. Giving more to your family than they gave to you, you're shining. Giving more to your job than it gives you, you're shining. Giving more to your loved ones, giving more to the stranger in your life, you share the gospel, you're shining. The idea is to be unbalanced in this respect. Don't take that the wrong way. We have some unbalanced people, but I don't mean that. A light gives light. It does not need to get. People do things, sometimes even in the ministry, they'll do things and they'll say, and I never got thanked. I said, then why did you do it? Did you do it for people to thank you, or to do it for him? Because if you did it for that, it wasn't really ministry anyway. People do things and then upset that other people didn't do her part. Martha ran around, did her thing, but then she was up, which is nice. It was, she needed to get from the Lord, but she's trying to do. But the problem is then she gets mad at Mary for not doing. But then what are you doing? It's all about you. It's not about him. If you live by the Spirit of God, then you do because of the Spirit. You're getting blessed anyway. You're getting blessed from God so you can be a blessing to the world. You don't live needy from the world. I need. No. You're a blessing. I'm a light. The fact that the people who give the parties for people who are never going to pay them back and are not even the beautiful people, but the people who, just to bless them, that is the proof that they're a light. That is the proof. When people don't bless you back and you are blessed because you just want to bless anyway, that is the proof of your radiance. It's the sign you're plugged into heaven. It's a sign you got another source going on. And the more you give with joy to this world, the more you'll be receiving from heaven. Give, and it shall be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. And the more free you are from this world, and the more joyful and the more independent will your joy be from this world. See, the more you try to get from this world, you know what happens? You become more selfish, more desperate, more vulnerable. Your well-being is hooked up to the world. And your situation, if it goes up, you're happy. If it goes down, you're miserable. But the Lord said, I give you peace not like the world gives you. I give you my shalom, not like the world gives you. The more you look at the world, not as your supplier, but not the place you get from, but the place you give to, the more free you are from the world, the less worldly you are. You become free. Your emotions become free. Your well-being becomes free. Your joy becomes free because it can't hook you. I was once looking at all the needs of the ministry and saying, Lord, how are we going to do it? I wasn't having peace about it. I was saying, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And the Spirit just touched my heart and said, your peace is not dependent on the ministry. You're not dependent on that. Your peace is dependent on me, not the ministry. You're not, it doesn't matter. You're here every day to wake up in the morning and say, how can I bless? You're free. You're not, you understand? Even the ministry, you're here to bless the ministry, not to be worried that you're not going to be okay if the ministry's not. You're here to give. And when you give, you're free if you do it from your heart. This world is not your home. It's your mission field. And everything, live this way, live everything like that, live to shine. All of us, if you're anxious today, you're worried about something, it means you're dependent on something in the world. There's something in the world, and if it's not good, you're going to be saying, I have no peace now because it's not good. Your peace is hinging on something. If you're bent out of shape today about someone or something, your peace is hinged to the world in some way. Reverse the flow. Reverse the electricity. Reverse the spirit by which you live. In that, you are here to bless. And you know what happens? You don't have the anxiety anymore. Because I'm here to bless. So it's a whole different thing. Get into giving without getting back. Get into it. For your own sake, too, because you're going to be free. But that's when you're in the flow of God. You bless and you don't care. It's pure. It's love. Purity. That's when you're really in the Spirit. You know, people have a lot of ideas about the Spirit, and the Lord does a lot of different things and has gifts and all that, and we need to be open in seeking what God has. But you know, the Spirit-filled life is not primarily noted by whether you speak in tongues or not. It's the person who lives in the flowing of God's love. That's the ultimate living in the Spirit. Those are the Spirit-filled people who are flowing with God's love, because the Spirit of God is love. God so loved the world that He gave. Love gives. The outflow of love is giving. And something else, you know, when it's from heaven, when you get something from heaven, it goes back to heaven. Because when you get your joy from heaven, your love from heaven, you're going to bless unconditionally, and it's going back to heaven, and you're going to get reward from heaven and blessed again. You know, say you sent a gift in the mail to some people in Israel, a package of clothing and, say, a hat and shirt and sweater. The package goes through the port, goes through Massachusetts. A month later, you get a letter from a guy in Massachusetts who says, thanks so much for the gifts. I love them. See the pictures enclosed. You see a photograph of the guy wearing the hat, the sweater, and all that from Massachusetts. You'd have to conclude the package never arrived in Israel. It got stopped because you got your thank you from Massachusetts. Well, in the same way, when you do things on earth to get an earthly thank you, it's telling you, it's over. You did it. You got it. It's Massachusetts, not Israel. It never got there. It never got to God. Because you didn't do it ultimately for God. You did it to get something back. It never got to God. But when you do it in the other way, say, but you send it to Israel, goes through Massachusetts. You don't receive any thank you from Massachusetts. 2 months later, you get a thank you written in Hebrew. And you understand it, and it says, hey, we got it and all that. Then you know it made it to the promised land. When you give and get nothing back earthly, you do it for no earthly back, you can know it made it to the promised land. When you don't get thanked, you should rejoice. Lord, if they thank you, great. You didn't. If you don't, just don't do it for that. But if they don't thank you, praise God, Lord, I'm happy they didn't thank me, because it was for you. And I know it arrived in heaven. How do you give to heaven? What do? You write on a package, send it to heaven, attention Jesus? No. Heaven is infinitely removed from this world. I mean, infinitely of another realm. The postage, you could never afford it. How do you send a gift to heaven? You can't rocket it up. How it wouldn't reach there? There is a way. The way you send to heaven is when you get nothing back from earth. You do it to get nothing back. You give. You throw a party for those who can't bless you back. You've given a gift to heaven. You give it to when you simply give with nothing but wanting to give, you're blessing the Lord. You're giving to Jesus, Messiah. You give to people, but as you do, you don't care if they bless you back. It's, hey, Lord, it's for you. I want to bless you. I want you to smile. If they thank you, it's okay, as long as you didn't do it for that. They bless you, it's fine. But when you do it to get recognition, forget it. No reward. You do it because it looks good. No reward. How do you know it went to heaven? You gave it for no earthly return. But shouldn't you get a thank you then from heaven? You know, shouldn't you get something? Yes. Yes, except heaven, the language of heaven is not of flesh and blood, so it's of the Spirit, and it's forever. You're going to get it forever, and you get it in the Spirit. But now rejoice that nobody thanked you. So, Lord, thank you. All I want is that you got it. How do you apply it? First of all, stop complaining about the things we complain about, that people didn't give you this, and start rejoicing in it. The very things we complain about are the very things we should be rejoicing about. You say, all did this, and what thanks did I get? I did this, I got no recognition, no thank you. Wait a minute. Rejoice. Did you do it for God? Yes. Then rejoice. Then don't lose your blessing now. I did all this. What did I get? Praise God. You never got recognized. Praise God. Don't blow it now. Don't waste it now. You've got a shot at a heavenly treasure. This is the thanks I get? Hopefully not. It's even better that you didn't. Because then you'll become more pure when you start rejoicing that God's thanking you, saying, well done. The very things we complain about are the very blessings that are waiting to happen. It's a reminder, if we have to get this back, that we're still dependent on the world. You know, and if we're dependent on the world, we have to detox. We got to get into spiritual rehab. Wash yourself, wean yourself from needing people to praise you. And you say, wait a minute, I can complain that I didn't, or I can rejoice. Which is better? Rejoicing is better. Get into the joy of not getting recognized. And if you get recognized, it's icing on the cake. So you can truly be as a child of the Most High. Have you ever had something happen to you? This happened to you in some way? Something happened to you in your life. You lost something or you didn't get something. But instead of being miserable, the Spirit took over. And you started rejoicing. Ever happen? And you had joy. You died in the flesh, you grew in the Spirit, and you have a treasure in heaven. Next time you feel slighted, try this. Rejoice. Next time you're treated unfairly, rejoice. Next time you don't get something back, rejoice. Next time they don't thank you, you get overlooked, rejoice. Thank God, Lord, my gift comes from you, my recognition comes from you, and my thank you comes from you, and it's you I'm looking to. You are becoming like Him now. You're becoming more like Messiah. You're weaning yourself from the world. You're becoming a true child of God. I remember once early in my walk, someone said something to me real unfair, real cutting, real wrong, and my natural reaction would have been many things. But I'm driving home, and the Spirit says, rejoice. I say, hey, Lord, I don't care. You know, I'm blessed. You're the one. Your praise is the only thing I need. Your love is the only thing I need. And I was just rejoicing. I came home. The person had driven ahead, and they came there to apologize. They said I was jealous. I said it was stupid and all that. But God taught me something in that thing. Every time the world withholds a blessing or treats you unfair, turn it around. Turn it around. Let it help you grow as a child of heaven, filled with His blessing. Beyond that, Messiah is even going farther than that. He's saying don't just rejoice when you don't get, when people mistreat you, but seek for ways to actually not get back. Throw a party. Get together. For people who can't bless you back. Not for the beautiful, not for the popular, not for the high status, not for the one you like. Don't think about getting anything back. Just think about purely giving from God. I remember once I was going over to a family gathering, and they had a relative over. And it was a holiday, and I brought over gifts. Everybody was to bring over gifts. I had a big bag. Gave it out, and even to the relative who was visiting. And everybody exchanged gifts and all that. And at the end, I realized I didn't get one gift. Now, probably they would say, I forgot, I'll get this, I'll get it, whatever. You'll get it in the mail, whatever, I don't know what. But I came back, and I'm leaving with I have an empty bag. And I'm saying, there's something wrong with this picture. Now, I know I'm supposed to be spiritual. But you're in trouble when you have the but there. I'm going home with an empty bag. I know I'm not supposed to be expecting my pieces with God, but I want some gifts. The Spirit spoke to her, listen, are you here to be served, or are you here to serve? Rejoice, your gift is from me. Do it for me, and your gift is from me. What good is it if all we're doing is wanting back and forth? What good? It's like people... Extra prop. What happens? You put two mirrors together. You get nothing. All that you get infinity back and forth of nothing. There's nothing. There's no light. There's nothing given. They don't give each other anything. It just becomes nothing. And that's what it is in life. So much of what is done is just nothing. There's nothing spiritual. There's nothing being added. There's nothing bright, shining in there. People get married and they expect the other one to bless them. They're going to be fulfilled with the other one. And the other one, the problem is they don't know the other one's coming in with the same idea. You're going to fulfill me. And we're both going to, and so they come in there, I'm going to get blessed, I'm going to get my joy from this one, and I'm going to get my joy from this one. And what happens? Nothing. They've got nothing to give. They're wanting, and the more they want from the other, the more resentful they become of the other one. As they said, it's like 2 ticks and no dog. Instead of giving. When I was at work in one job, I was able to lead a woman to the Lord and a new believer, and she went to a Bible study that I was doing, and she was convicted of the homeless. She decided to do something about it, to throw a Christmas dinner for the homeless. So she did it. She did it. And then she did it again the next year. She found a place to do it. And then someone else from the Bible study ended up taking over that, and as Beth Israel was growing, that's how the Christmas dinner started for the homeless, from this one woman, who each one took it and took it and took it and took it to bless. The good goes on. The good goes on. It was a banquet for the homeless, literally. That's what we do. You see, the more you have to get blessed by you need to get blessed by the world, the more desperate you're saying you are. The more you bless, the more you're saying, I am blessed. The more you do it unconditionally, the more I am unconditionally blessed. The sign of your radiance is that you've got enemies, you're blessed. Because you've got an opportunity to show your radiance to the world. Only somebody plugged into heaven can bless their enemies. Bless your enemy. Because when you do it, it's pure. Because you know you're not expecting something back. You're blessing from heaven. The blessing, when I first came to the Lord, there were people who were in the neighborhood with my family, and they didn't get along with anybody, and including my family. And there was a number of all these feuds going on in the neighborhood, including them and my family. One day there was a blizzard, and I went out to shovel our driveway, and I looked and I saw their driveway, and it was unshoveled. The father was away. I said, you know what? I just come to the Lord. I said, you know what? Let me apply this. So I went out and I started shoveling their driveway. And I knew what had gone on, and it was all the more blessing to do it because I knew it went against everything in the world. So I'm doing it, and what happened is, strange thing happened, the mother sent her daughter out to pay me. So, and when she paid me, it's all even again. I said, no, I'm just doing it to bless. And so I did it, and you know what happened after that? After that, the feud was over. Absolutely over. Over. They couldn't, you can't do it. You know what it's like? It's like, you got the mirror, but then you got the mirror, and then you shine into the mirror, and the mirror starts shining. It shines, even if, and it may not, and most of the time when you bless somebody, and you just shine that light, and even if they're not shining, but they're just like a mirror, chances are they're going to start changing. Now, you can't guarantee if people have a free will, but most likely you're going to start changing. When you do those blessings that have nothing else back, you're going to translate the shining into their life. You want to change it, husbands, wives, you want to change your wife, you want to change your husband, stop demanding them to reflect back and start shining. Start shining the light. What do you want to receive back? Start giving it. You're in a hard situation. You're in a crisis. Don't get down. Shine into it. You say, I'm not getting nothing. Shine into it. I'm going to rejoice anyway. Bless still, and think, how can I bless no matter what? Because I'm a light. I can't start being miserable now because I'm a light. Even in a tough situation, I'm still a light. Shine. Rejoice over that fact of who you are in God, of who He is in your life. It says, and you do this, Messiah said, and you will be blessed. Although they can't repay you, you'll be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. And in other times he says, you'll be blessed in this life and in the life to come 100-fold. You will be blessed. The word he uses, or the word that it was translated from the Aramaic, is makarios, which means blessed and means well off and means happy. You will be happy. You see, there's no blessing that the earth can produce that is worthy of being compared to the blessing that heaven gives. There's nothing. It's not worthy. It's like, it's actually the blessing of actually being a blessing. To live to be a blessing, you're going to be blessed. And you're not going to be filled. You're not going to be weighed down. You're not going to be worried about yourself. You're not going to be waking up in the morning dreading the day because you're a blessing. You're saying, I'm free now. Which brings us to the last point. This is a whole different radical way to live. But it's the secret of blessing. We tend to be more concerned about what we're getting. Messiah tells us to be more concerned with what we're giving to the world. Not to be affected by the world, but to affect the world. Primarily, if you're living to get, you become a reactive person. You're reacting to everything. And whatever, then the enemy says, you know what, I could just throw this in because they're going to react to it. I could throw this, they're happy because this, I take that away, they're going to react. But you are called not to be a reactive person, but in God to become a proactive person. Meaning you act upon the world. You are the light of the world, the salt of the earth. You are to act upon it. Meaning wherever you go, it's supposed to be changed a little bit because you were there. It means you put something into it. You gave something into it. You are the light of the world, he said. The shining of the world that goes in there. What life are you living? Are you living just to get by? Then you're reactive. Are you living because you're finished with yourself, but hey, I'm here to bless, Lord. What's my mission today? Mission impossible. Give me my mission today, and I'll go out and do it. That's what he's looking for. That's what he's looking for. The person who can be in chains in prison and praise God and sing a song like Paul did. Who no matter what perseveres over every obstacle. Rejoice. He said, what do we rejoice in tribulation. Bring it on, we rejoice. Glorified God in everything. They overcame the world. The book of Acts. Free yourself. The Bible, the Lord calls you to be an agent of heaven. To be like an angel in flesh and blood on divine mission. A secret agent. The world doesn't realize what you're doing, but live like that. Lord, how can I bless today? Who can I go to today? When I was growing up, they had a TV show called, well, it was in reruns already, so don't date me, but it was called The Millionaire, or where this guy was a billionaire. He gave this guy, his servant, $1 million every week to bless somebody else. And all the guy did is he had the $1 million. He just go to different people, change their life. Well, God is the billionaire. God is beyond, and you are the one who has. He has the cattle on 1,000 hills, and you have all the blessings to give. If you'll give, he'll say, I can trust this one to give. Which one are you going to trust? Which servant? The one who tries to get for himself, or the one who gives it away? The master's going to say, the one who gives, I'm going to keep blessing this life. Because I know when I bless this life, I'm blessing many lives. So give, and it shall be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, overflowing. Be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. You are the light. That they might see your good works. Let them see it. They'll glorify God in heaven. In other words, arise, shine. Your light, Messiah, has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Be a light to the world and shine. Amen and amen.